I started doing workshops and doing groups where I'm getting up in front of others, like outside of the gym setting, and talking about resilience and perseverance and goal setting and vision and taking action. You should know what 1 hour of your time is worth. You should know the value that you bring to the marketplace. You know what you're passionate. It starts with clarity of vision. If you don't have the clarity of vision, whatever next thing you get, you're not going to see it through because you don't have the clarity of vision. So the point of my pain was being told you will never run or jump again. All that stuff, I was like, you know what, like, I want to be able to take this even bigger. If you know why you do what you do, you have to know how to charge for what you do. That's how you're going to change your life, and that's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children and your family. You got to know your worth. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob, and I am back with episode number 373 of Shut Up and Grind. We're all about overcoming obstacles, defying the odds, and helping you, inspiring you to clear whatever's blocking the path to whatever success you want in this lifetime. We're about empowering, we're about inspiring, igniting, and unleashing that beast that's within you that's dying to come out. I bring guests on from all over the world. I've had guests from 6 of the 7 continents. And one thing that I've learned in doing this show is that struggle is real, struggle is global, but so is the comeback, right? It's about the comeback. You can't just stay in that perpetual struggle. And I want to tell a quick story before I get to my guest and we get this episode rolling, is I'm all about manifestation, right? You literally can speak things into existence. So I've been trying hard to get on the local media here in Rhode Island, sending out pitches left and right, finding the journalists on X and on Facebook and friending them and sharing their stuff, like doing all the things. I even drove up to the TV studio, had my pitch ready to go, but they're appointment only, so I couldn't get in. And one thing you guys will hear me say on this show multiple times, sometimes the answer is right in front of you. It's right in front of your face, it's staring at you, and you don't see it. So you can't see with the background, but I'm sitting in a gym. So I was doing a PT session with one of my clients and just telling him about going to the studio, how hard I'm trying to get on TV. Lo and behold, he's friends with 3 journalists. And he just said to me just now, when he just left, he's got 2 floor seats to the Providence Friars game tonight, and he can introduce me to the journalists. And I kept saying prior to that conversation, I have to figure out a way to jump the line because they get thousands of pitches every single day. And the answer was right in front of me that whole time. So tonight I'm going to have the opportunity to meet and speak with the journalists one-on-one. So whatever it is that you want to accomplish in this lifetime, just start the steps towards it. Okay, and the doors are going to open. So speaking of that, my guest today, Massimo. Okay, in today's episode, we're going to dig into how he pivoted from a behind-the-scenes tech world to a 360-degree transformation of identity, purpose, and impact. So what does that mean? Let's ask him. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What a great intro. And that is so on point for what we're going to be talking about today, is speaking things into existence and recognizing that if you take those first steps towards something, the path just automatically starts paving right in front of you. And it's the most amazing thing to watch. You will think it is impossible, but if you just starting's the hardest part. If you take that first step is the hardest step you'll ever take. But once you start walking, it's pretty easy. Have you ever gone for a long walk and suddenly you realize you're 5 miles from home? It's that type of thing.
Exactly. It's so true. Oh, I love it. Where are you joining me from?
I'm joining from Lincoln, Nebraska, middle of the country.
Nebraska. Nice. Are you originally from there?
I was born here. I was raised kind of all over, and but I've ended up back here about 3 years ago.
Okay. So why were you raised all over? Military?
No, my dad was promoted quite a bit. He was in advertising. And so we ended here, there, and everywhere. But I graduated from high school in the Kansas City area, in Overland Park, Kansas.
Okay. So one of the number one things I like about doing this show is to actually get to know the person that I'm talking to. Like when I first started this, I used to do the stereotypical send me 10 questions and you stay in your comfort bubble, and I just hated it. Like doing it now with this free flowing format, and I actually get to make real connections with the guest, right? So before we dive into the nuts and bolts, I want to know, at your core, who are you?
I'm a very curious person. I'm constantly in search of what makes something tick. And that could be literally something mechanical to how the mind works, to why is somebody responding to me a certain way? You know, what's going on inside of their own mind or their own head, or when I see the wind blowing a tree one way, but it's blowing the tree next to it in a different direction. Why is that happening? So I'm constantly in search of more knowledge. And I've always been that way. I'm just very curious about how everything works and interrelates.
Nice. You were the second guest in a row. My guest yesterday said almost the exact same thing that you just said.
Really? That's wild.
That's so scary. Almost word for word.
Wow. I'm going to have to watch that episode.
But yeah, I mean, curiosity is everything. It's like some people just accept things at face value. Like I had an MRI last Thursday and I had my follow-up appointment yesterday. And I said, I'm going to be seeing the surgeon before the end of this year, because my deductible resets in January. And so I get there, I'm talking, and he's like, well, put a brace on for 30 days and then we'll come back again. I said, I want to see the surgeon. And he's like, well, you don't even have the info yet. You don't know if I want to see the surgeon. So I'm going to see the surgeon this Friday. And I'm going to tell him, right? I'm going to tell him straight up, if you can't do this by the end of the year, I'm going to find someone who can.
Yeah.
And just watch miraculously, oh, we have this day available. Like self-advocacy is everything. And when you hear self-advocacy, what does that mean to you?
To me, it just means that you're speaking what you want on your own behalf. You have to, I think oftentimes that we just accept whatever is told to us, especially when it comes to anyone that we would consider a traditional authority figure.
Yes.
I'm not exactly fond of authority figures, but not in a criminal sense, but in the way in which I don't like being told no. Why did you tell me no? What's going on? See, it goes back to that curiosity flip for me is if I have a doctor tell me one thing, I'm not going to accept that as being fact. I want to either see somebody else that is going to give me a different perspective. I'm going to research it myself on top of that, and then I'm going to make a best decision on what that means for my health. So advocating for yourself is really important. And I think that most people don't do it. They just accept the direction that's given to them. And this, of course, comes into play a lot of times when I speak to audiences of high school seniors, when I tell them that you need to do what's best for you, rather than sitting back and go, well, what do you think I should do? And nobody's going to tell you what to do. And if that means that you have to take a year and kind of figure that out, then do it. Don't just ship yourself off to college with destination unknown. Know where you're walking. Know what you're headed towards. Because if you don't know what you're headed towards, you're heading nowhere.
And along those same lines too, is like in my intro where I said I was told I would never run or jump again. Oh. I never once considered that outcome. Never once. Right? Maybe initially when he first said it, when he very first said it. But then afterwards I was like, how do you know? You don't know how I'm going to heal, right? It's like, how do you know? Like, you take care of the surgery, I'll take care of the healing. Because the brain controls the body. So whatever you tell yourself, your body's going to prepare for that outcome. So I prepared myself. First I had to teach myself to walk again. And then I started running again. Then I started jumping again. Then I started competing again, but it stemmed from, I kept my eye on that prize. I never said the what if, the maybes. I said, when I run again, when I jump again, when I compete again, going back to that self advocacy. So I want to know, give me a story that led to a pivotal shift in your life. He's like, pick one.
Yeah, exactly. There are a few, actually. I mean, so we can't tell my story without talking about the fact that I struggled with addiction for the majority of my life. From age 18 through 38, I was an alcoholic drug addict. And while I was that, I was also a successful entrepreneur that started several companies, sold a few, crashed and burned a couple. But at the end of the day, I would be, by all, matter of thinking, a successful business person. So doing that while being an alcoholic drug addict, it opens you up into looking back in the rearview mirror now, almost 10 years sober, it is a wonder I was able to do anything. So I have to at least frame up that a lot of my stories that might follow in our conversation here, we have to keep that in mind because it really shapes who I am today.
Yes.
So the most pivot moment. Is that right? The biggest pivot moment in my life is probably when I met Samantha Thomas, who is the young lady that I met completely at random in Destin, Florida in March of 2014. I was at the peak of my addiction at that point. I was in bad shape. I was barely eating and drinking 20 hours a day at that point.
Wow.
And here's this young lady that says, I don't understand why you're drinking. Seems like you'd be pretty awesome without it. And I'm like, who the hell are you? I met you like how many hours ago? And you're like trying to tell me to, shape up. But for some reason I listened to her, and it was because of her care. I mean, and then my world crashed and burned in 2014. By the end of that year, I was homeless, living on the streets. And
oh my God.
And I spent the next 16 months living on the streets of Kansas City. So
16 months. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We'll circle back to that. But go ahead.
Yeah. We'll circle back to that. But through that period while I was there she was writing me letters. I didn't have a phone most of the time. So we exchanged letters, and she really helped reshape who I am now today. In such a dramatic way, it's hard to not see that as the massive pivot point of my life, and recognize that it rewired my brain into taking all the knowledge I had prior to that, but then apply it with a mindset that was sobriety based and capable of being truly impactful on others in a way that has changed other people's lives. And I think that's what makes meeting Samantha so significant in my life.
Okay. And so homeless. So in February of 2023, I actually found myself in a similar situation. I wasn't in the street, so I was bopping in between cheap hotels until I finally swallowed my pride and I called my mom. But I hit that rock bottom. So what was that like? Well, first, what led to it? And then 16 months, that's a long time. I mean, I did 6 days and that was brutal. So how did you last almost a year and a half?
I was stubborn, and I had the same resilience to find ways to make things work while I was on the street. So it happened because I just could not stop my addictive tendencies, and I had bet on myself one too many times and found myself on the wrong end of the financial bet where I'd leveraged my home and I lost it. And so I was left with a bad situation, and then a family that said, look, we're not taking you in. And so everybody, even I think in retrospect, that was a good thing, because I was on the street and I fought it. I drank. I didn't stop any of my tendencies for addiction while I was on the streets for quite a long time, to the point that in August 11th of 2015, I found myself having a near-death experience because I had a withdrawal that was so massive that I had multiple grand mal seizures. Thankfully, I was in the hospital at the time I had the third seizure, and so they were able to save my life. But Yeah, I know this is a lot to unpack all at once, but so I was very resourceful while I was on the streets. I did just all matter of things. I was the organizer, and I used some of my business strategy on the streets, like organizing people like, okay, you three, you're in charge of finding food today. I'm going to go and see if I can find blankets with these two people, and we'll meet back. It was a very structured type of way, and I led homeless people much like I led people who worked for me, for lack of a better comparison. And it worked and created a camaraderie that was very structured. And we stuck together in a way that allowed us to get through the winter.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Winter. Oh boy. That's right. Because Kansas City is cold.
Yeah. Very cold.
Oh man. Wow. All right. So how did you get through the end of that now? So like you're at the tail end and you're getting ready to get back to some normalcy. Like did something happen there or like how did that come about?
It kind of happened all at once, but slowly would be the best way to describe it. So I found myself in a rehab facility in November of 2015, and I had a breakthrough of sorts while I was there in recognizing that I had a bit of child trauma that had laid down years ago that I was unaware of.
Yeah.
And I find that in most of the people I work with today, that child trauma is probably about 75% of the instances of addicts that I work with today. Unfortunately, it's common enough. And it can be sometimes what we would think is a trivial thing, but it manifests itself into feelings of abandonment or inadequacy to the point that drugs and alcohol is what they use to cover up those feelings, even though they might be highly successful. So that I left the rehab and I was sober, for maybe 3-ish weeks. And then we got into the Christmas holidays and then the depression of still being on the street, not being around family, not, being alone. And I went right back into the bottle again. And then I had what I would describe as 7 tremendously painful, big falling off the wagon and then, relapses and then recoveries just over and over. And those cycles were just like painful, just horribly painful. And the last one was in March, mid-March of 2016. And I got up one morning. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to drink anymore, ever. I'm done. I've had enough. It's not worth it. This is not a life worth living. And I can do better than this. And I called Samantha and I told her, I'm not going to drink anymore. And she goes, good for you. It was a pretty short conversation. But it was, I mean, in a way it's kind of funny. It's like, I just called to say, I'm not going to drink anymore. Okay. See you later. It was honestly kind of like that short of a conversation.
Wow.
But it allowed for me to, I told someone else that I really cared about that I was done. And until that point, I wasn't willing to do anything different. And I haven't had a drink since. So it definitely worked. And then it's been just the long road to recovery, which ultimately became, how am I going to maintain this long term? You can be sober, but then you start looking around. It's like, is this it? I had a pretty exciting life as a alcoholic, and I went to some pretty awesome parties over the years. And so and then part of the challenge is you go to like an AA meeting and you find yourself like thinking about the past and you talk about the past, and then you start in a way a little bit fantasizing about, maybe we should go do that. Hey, do you guys want, and you start thinking those thoughts. I'm thinking, this isn't good and I need to find something different. And that became the genesis for what is today the sober method.
Okay. And how did you come up with the sober method?
That was the genesis. So then it was, I was sitting, it was actually New Year's Eve on December of 2018, I believe. And I thought, there's just got to be something better. What can I do? And at the time I was working for Kubota contractor. And so I was doing a lot of work in the Deming cycle and manufacturing. So I started this curious thought about, could I possibly improve my brain by picking things out of it and then like cycling through and making that adjustment and then continuing to do that over and over again until I found myself to be much more stable and frame myself up in a way that was different than who I am today. And I was like, that would be interesting. So then I was like, I charted out what became the sober method. Then it started out as a 10-step method, and I eventually took it down to 5 steps when I started teaching it to others, because it was honestly too complicated, and the overlap between the 12-step program and the 10-step. If people were like, wait a second, that's step 5. I'm like, no, it's not, it's 6. And then I was realizing I was not thinking of the right program. And so I'm like, we're going to change all this. And then I changed it to the sober method in 2013. So let
me jump in. Let me jump in. 2013. Sure. No, because this ties into what you said earlier about just getting started.
Yeah,
right? It's okay to start something and then change it. Like something as minor as this background. This is probably like the 7th background that I've had since I've been doing this show, right? It's okay. Like so many people think everything has to be perfect and all the ducks have to be in a row and all this to get started. It's like, no, just get started, because you can always upgrade. On my book, that's the 2nd cover of the book. When I printed the first one, I didn't like the way the cover came out, but I was like, you know what? Let's just sell all of these and then I'll redesign the cover. It's like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But all right, so you started the sober method in 2013.
2023. So the original method was in 2018. And then it's funny because you mentioned your book. Here's the sober method right here. Yes. In my forward in this book, I actually say that I know a lot of you have the flavors of confidence method, but think of this as method 2.0. We're improving it. If you like the old version, keep using it, but it might be clunky and you'll experience weird crashes. But this is actually going to work better. I described it, of course, like code, because as I haven't even mentioned yet, but a good bit of my story is framed about programming and coding, and so that I think of things often in doing these upgrades within the system. And as I've gone along within sober, and it's really a framework, and more than anything, is that so many people are using this now for other things, from eating disorders, device addiction. And that's actually right now I'm working on the final edits of my 3rd book, which is using the sober method just for device addiction, because that seems to be troubling people almost as much as addiction, like substance addiction is right at the moment. And I get just as many inquiries about that as I do substance addiction these days. So I wanted to really break down some actionable steps that could be taken to help with device addiction.
Okay, so without giving it all the way, just give like a part of it, what would be a good takeaway from the book?
A good way from the upcoming book would be learning to respect your device as a tool instead of a crutch. And the best way to do that is to not have it around you at all times. Like at this exact moment, I think my phone is 2 rooms away. I don't know if it is or isn't. And don't tie your notifications to your other digital devices. A lot of people, especially in the Apple sphere, will tend to have their notifications tied to their iPad, to their laptop, to their iPhone. And so you have 3 devices, your notifications are all springing up. You cannot escape yourself. You're constantly being notified about things, and notifications will just take over. They might be dopamine hits and it'll feel good, but guess what? It's taking you away from being productive or having any meaningful, deep thought. And what I found in working with a number of people to frame up this new framework was that lack of reflective thought being taken out of the day was having a direct impact on their ability to cope. and that ability to cope then of course impacts their anxiety levels, and the higher their anxiety levels were, the more they got addicted to the phone. So it's like a vicious cycle. It's like the more anxious I get, the more I want my device, which, you know, it's almost counterintuitive, but that's exactly what happens.
So that's so true. Like mine is here because I keep the live stream on.
Sure. I mean, but, you're using it for a business purpose right now. That's a little
yeah. No, right. But the point is that my ringer is never on. No, it never rings. It never vibrates. And people always say, "Oh, well, what are you gonna do in an emergency?" I was like, "I'm 51. Like I am old enough to remember life before cell phones." Right? We used to have the phones on the wall with the dial, right? Yes. If you missed a number, you had to start all over again. You know, remember when the answering machines first came out? This was before caller ID. Like I was alive during that period.
It's like, the cassette tapes, like full-size cassette tapes in it.
Exactly. Like if something is earth-shattering, I'll address it when I pick up my phone.
Yes.
You know, just like we did back in the day. You know, it's like if some people always say, well, what if someone dies? If they're dead, what am I gonna do? Right? Absolutely nothing. It's like, why do you have to take it to such an extreme? But I see it here in the gym, like in the middle of working out. You know, people have the watches, and then like, you know, the watch goes off. They're doing work and they're talking into their watch and they're running to their phone. I'm like, you can't take 1 hour and zero in on you. I'm like, whatever's happening out there, it'll be there at 10 o'clock. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a really good point, especially when it comes to exercise. And I'll make this minor segue in that exercise is a huge component of the sober method. In the behavior step, we talk about framing up new behaviors, especially in physical and exercise and improving your diet. I've almost 100% taken in processed foods out of my diet now. I have like 2 or 3 things that I know I need to give up, but you know, they're just so good.
Yes. and that.
but it's only 2 or 3. It's not like 200 like it used to be. And so that's really important. And at age 46, yes, I took up figure skating, and I'm now a competitive figure skater.
No kidding. Congratulations.
Yeah. So
didn't see that one coming.
No, I did not see that one coming. But again, this is something that I wanted to improve my shape. I don't like being hot when I'm working out. I could not get myself in the habit of going to the gym, and I wanted something that would have a competitive element to it, so I could continually work towards getting better and improving. And so this provided all of those things, especially the not being hot thing, because it's not for me. And so that's what I do. And I parked 30 pounds
nice.
And I'm down. I actually weigh in at the exact weight I did the day I graduated high school at this moment.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people here to find something that's just bigger than losing weight or building muscle. Like find something bigger than that. Like I bring my clients to obstacle races, you know, things of that, like Spartan races, Tough Mudders. You know, some of them do 5Ks. I've got a couple marathon runners. It's like, you don't want to just change for those vanity reasons. Like if you make it, like I said earlier, about making things bigger than you now have a purpose. Like at my age, I just want to be able to get out on the basketball court with the 25-year-olds and hold my own. It's like I don't necessarily have to win every game, but I want to be competitive, you know, to your point. And I want to do these obstacle races, and I see all these people half my age huffing and puffing going up the mountain. I'm like, excuse me, pardon me, on your left, on your right, just zipping right up that baby. And I know in order to maintain that athletic capability, I have to train. I have to put the work in. And so when people make those short-term, like I want to lose 15 pounds, right? What happens when you get there? Most people put it right back on. I see it time and time again. Unfortunately, in here, like they'll reach that goal, they'll get complacent, go back to their old habits, and there we are. Kind of how you were saying with the sober roller coaster. So so you can see exactly how those two tie in.
They do, and I think that that's true of really anything in life. And if you come back to looking at it, and very, very quick segue, I have to say, when you were talking about passing the 25-year-olds as you're going up the mountain there, love it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is get into a power class with the 18 and 19-year-old hockey players, and one of the new guys comes in and is like, oh, look at the old guy over there. And then they're like, I wouldn't mess with him. He'll kick our asses. And then I do. They're like, that'll invariably be the guy who's over at the boards just huffing and puffing and like, can't continue to skate. So I love that as well. But what you're saying is true, is that finding that passion, whatever it is, I did not set out to teach and really put forth the sober method. On August 1st of 2020, Samantha was murdered by a drunk driver. And
oh, no.
Yes. So in this tragic twist of black irony, I suppose, she saved me from alcohol, and alcoholic killed her. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it really stung, and it was hard. And a lot of people thought I was going to relapse. I never did. I never thought I was going to. Instead, I instantly thought, okay, well, she was already encouraging me to write about my life and how I had turned things around and what I was doing with, at that point, it was the Flavors of Confidence method. And so I set out to write that first book and to get it out there and to see if I could help others the way she had helped me. That's what drives me. My passion for this project and what I do with Sober Method is 100% based on keeping her legacy alive and making sure that the world is able to be helped as much as she helped me.
See, and that perfectly illustrates what I just said about making it bigger than you, right? Because when it's bigger than you, it's easier to show up, right? Because people give up on them. Yeah, people give up on themselves way too easily. Like people ask me, because I'm up at 4:30 every morning. My first class is at 5:30, and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I was like, my alarm is a video of me reminding myself what my goals are. So there's no snooze, right? I have snooze disabled. It's like, hey, get up. We got lives to change. People are dependent on you. Let's go. That's what I wake up to every single morning.
That is really awesome. I like that. That is fantastic. And you are making an impact on people's lives. And it's not, you have those people that come and they've made that first effort, and some of them sure might slip back into the old, but they've made that first step. It's a matter of them figuring out and finding that the path needs to be consistent long-term. That passion, yes, it truly is important, but they have to be doing it for themselves. And I would venture to guess that a lot of people who walk in and are wanting to help from you in maybe the weight loss area, they're doing it because they feel something, or somebody said something to them, or you really should do this, they haven't like turned inward. And it's the same thing with addiction. I'll have people, I need your help so bad. Why are you here? Why did you call me? Well, my wife says that can't help you. I mean, that's the very next thing I say. I can't, because I know until that person shows up and says to me, I'm in trouble. And I know if I don't make some changes, that these things are going to happen to me, and I'm going to do these things to other people. Okay, you're ready for help.
Yes.
You have to want it. That acceptance has to come from within, or you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to make the commitment to yourself to improve. And I was the same way until I made that commitment internally to say, hey, I'm going to never have another drink. Did it make any difference? When I started out, I was like, sure, Samantha was there. She was helping and assisting me. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to get better for her. Well, that didn't give me any motivation. Maybe it got me two to 3 days from time to time. But it took months of the grind in being drunk and hazy and everything to see that wasn't going to work. And you really had to look at a different framework.
Yeah, it's the same here with fitness. It's the exact same thing. Like I tell people, if you're ready, I can work with you. I was like, if you're on the fence, I'm not your guy. It's like you have to be ready. Like, because it's like I am compassionate, but when I'm in the moment, I'm very no nonsense. Like people come in and be like, "Oh, I just woke up 5 minutes ago. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it." You walk in the door, I command your best. Because like you're paying me to get you a result. You know what I mean? This is my sister. Hello, Monique. How you doing? But yeah, it's like you want that result. If I hire you for something, I have to have an expectation of you. Like I'm hiring you. Right? But the problem is that people don't have the expectation of themselves. That's the issue. So to illustrate your point, once they come to me and they're like, you know what, I'm ready. Like I'm ready. Like, so you're ready to drink enough water. You're ready to get enough steps in. You're ready to train hard 3 days a week. And I spill everything out. Like because this is the path. Like this is what works. Like I've been doing this for 17 years now. It's like this is what works. And if you're ready, you can work with me. So I'm assuming that's exactly what you were saying.
It is exactly what I'm saying. And to go deeper into that, as I first started working with people, I went really broad and just said, I'll work with anybody. And the impact that I felt that I was having on the world, on the greater world, was not as significant as I thought perhaps it could be. So I started thinking about myself and my own challenges when I was near the end. So here I was, a business owner with employees. I could not really tell anyone that I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble. I couldn't talk to my business friends or associates. I did business with them. If they knew the significance, they might stop doing business with me and my business would suffer. And then if that happened, then I couldn't pay my employees. So you really find yourself in this, and then of course that stresses you out. So you drink more. So, I mean, you're in this vicious cycle. So then I stepped back and I thought, who could I best relate my personal experience to? And that's why today I focus my work almost exclusively on what I would say are high performers. And I'm talking about doctors, pharmacists, attorneys, architects, engineers, people who touch significant numbers of lives. Like you don't want a surgeon who is, going out and having 3 shots at lunch and then coming back and doing another heart surgery. Believe it or not, they exist. I mean, and so those people also can't walk into an AA meeting because it could potentially out them, especially in smaller communities. There's no way that the town doctor even in a town of maybe 20,000 could possibly go to an AA meeting. Everybody would know. He'd lose his practice. He'd lose his ability to exist in terms of his identity as well, because identity is very tied up in most of these individuals. Pro athletes are also are people that I've worked with in the past. And so but very confidentially, nobody knows they're working with me. And the great thing about Sober is that it's a framework. So we can frame something up that works when they can work on it and improves their confidence. And over time, they find themselves able to work through their challenge. And I've now brought more than 200 people out the other side. So
nice.
Anyone who's interested can go out to sobermethod.com. That's my website.
Awesome. So Sober, is that an acronym?
It is an acronym. It stands for Stoic, Observe, Behavior, Execute, and Restore. And as I mentioned earlier, it works on the Deming cycle. So we're starting out with Stoicism, the reflection of oneself. And part of the reason that I focused and grounded this in Stoicism is that some of the other methods and that are out there are highly Christian based, and it is off-putting to a lot of people that are either of different religion or of no religion. And this allows it to be grounded in something that's ancient philosophy as opposed to anything that is spiritual. But one might argue that philosophy is spiritual, but we won't split that hair today.
I typically keep religion out of things. It's like, let's just stick to the facts, because people believe what they want to believe. They can feel what they want to feel. And there's plenty of other channels out there that are for that. So I agree with that. I always just say the universe. The universe spoke and
Yeah.
this happened. Like when I was at the tail end of managing restaurants. Like I knew I didn't want to do it anymore. I started my fitness business in the spare bedroom of my old house, and then I
Really?
moved into my garage from there. Yeah, because like I'm not a handyman, but I had a big old garage, so I gutted it and turned it into a gym. And I just started getting. Next thing you know, I had 44 clients working out of my garage, right? So,
Wow.
but it was tough to walk away from the management job. I had small kids at the time, had a mortgage, had cars, and it's like, how do I walk away from that guaranteed paycheck? And then the universe put his foot right on my back, boom, and I got fired from my management job. And it's like this right here, just go this way. And I went that way and never looked back.
Well, good for you. And I mean, you said 17 years now, and I think I heard on an earlier podcast of yours as well that has also come with some challenges from time to time, but it hasn't stopped you from having the resilience to get back up and keep going. So good for you.
Thank you. See, what people have to realize too, that us motivators, like we're human too. It's like life happens to us too. Like we go through struggles. We just I can't speak for everyone. I'll speak for myself. Just when the struggle arises, I try to deal with it immediately. Like I was saying earlier with the surgery. Like if I need surgery, we're not dragging this out. It's like, let's get a date on the calendar and let's just get it done so I can get back on the road to healing. But a lot of people, I always say, one side there's problem, one side there's solution, and people hang in the middle. And that's where the stress, anxiety, depression, all that stuff lies, right there in that middle. But if you can get the solution as quickly as possible, that doesn't mean everything is all hunky dory, but at least that stress is lifted, is lifted from you. So I want to ask you, for when it comes to like stress and people doubting themselves, because I think all of those are tied into under the umbrella of self-doubt, right? So first and foremost, do you agree with that? And then what are some of your best practices for helping people break through that?
Well, I absolutely agree with it, number one. And before I answer your question, I'm just going to comment on what you're describing is something I work on with a lot of people, and I refer to these as open loops, open processing loops. It's like almost having in programming, it would be like a go-to statement that aired out and it's constantly repeating. You're not wanting to deal with the problem, so we'll deal with it tomorrow. And then tomorrow happens, like, I don't want to deal with it today, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And so you do that over and over and over again. What happens is it creates this drag on you overall. It demotivates you and it stresses you out and it further depresses you. And so basically you're just like literally pulling yourself deeper and deeper. And the more open loops you get going, because a lot of people procrastinate, that's what procrastination is as well. If you deal with things head on immediately, like Marcus Aurelius said in Meditations, the obstacle is the way. Charge right through it. Whatever that issue is, just go after it and do it right away. And you'll be a lot better off. So to answer your question, the best thing that I suggest that I've seen the most traction with right away is start stacking up the small wins. I mean, just look at what you're needing to get done and chop that up into 10 pieces. And then just stack a small win, whatever that is. I need to clean my room. We'll go with something really silly. I need to clean my room. Well, break that into steps. I need to take the trash out, need to make the bed. I need to vacuum. I need to dust. I need to clean my mirror. Okay. Well, do one and then take a 10-minute break. Wow, you worked really hard. Take 10 minutes and just, I mean, and I get laughter out of that when I tell people because they think I'm being silly, and I am in a way, but it's also the framing of what you're doing, because when you see how silly it is that you thought that this was difficult after you do it and you're giving yourself this break because you did this minor thing, it totally changes their attitude in the larger thing. So I always will task them down to say, what's one small thing you're trying to get accomplished? And they'll tell me. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to break that into 5 pieces. And this is what you're going to do. And then when you're done with that, we'll talk about this other big thing that you need to deal with. And so they'll go off and they'll do that. And then they come back to me and say, okay, I've done that. I'm like, okay, well, how could you break that big task down into those pieces? And you know what? They've already figured it out because they realize that they can break things down. if you look at things in the totality of them, they're very hard to swallow a lot of times, because the faster things move in our world, the more complex they seem to be. But at the end of the day, everything's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a business coach years ago, and he used to tell us to make a to-do list and then make a today list. So like you take that to-do list, and the most important things on that list, like say you're coming up due for an oil change, and you're at say 2,700 miles. So like that can be, I say, plan your day and work your plan. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that as well. But yeah, so oil change can stay on the to-do list because that's not something that has to be done today. But if your gas is on below a quarter tank, right, that needs to get done today. Have to go and get gas. And yeah, you just break down whatever those things are, and then whatever doesn't get done is tomorrow's today list. Yes. And then you redo the other to-do list, and that way you make sure everything gets done. I absolutely suck at that, but I understand how it works.
Well, I mean, you may say that you suck at it, but the fact that you're going through the process means that the better way to frame that would be to say, I'm not the best at it, but I'm working on it, or I'm getting better at it every day.
Funny.
I know you meant to be funny. I know you did.
Oh God. Yeah. Like when it comes to reframing, oh boy, I have to do it in here all the time. Like when people come in and they'll say, I want to lose 20 pounds, but it's going to be hard. And I was like, the way your brain works, like whatever comes after that but, that's what's going to register in your brain. So if you flip the two and you say it's going to be hard, but I'm going to lose 20 pounds, now it stores in a positive light, and like I said earlier, brain controls the body. Yeah. So if you end up with that negative talk, your body's going to prepare for that stress.
Yes, I agree with you. And, Robert, I think the other thing you touched on earlier was about the resilience factor that occurs in the motivational types like you and I. And we tend to always be upbeat. And I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. Here's the curiosity in me. And I just told, before I came on with you, I was with a client, and I talked with him about the fact that I'm recently becoming curious about why it is that some of us are more resilient than others, and what that underlying factor is. Because if trauma, is causing addiction and the challenges we're facing, some people bounce back from it better and have a natural greater resistance. So is that some positive affirmation that's laying down early in life that allows resistance, or is it natural personality, or what is it? Because you can change yourself in such a way that if you could find a way to rebuild resilience from no resilience whatsoever to find natural grit, I mean, not natural grit, this would be artificial grit, but if we could somehow make it, could you take someone who was struggling with something like losing weight or getting sober so that they saw the positive outlook in it? Because no matter what happens in my life, and I have a feeling that I don't want to speak for you, but I have a feeling you're the same. I give it a positive tint to it. I could have just got into a huge car accident or something, and I'll be like, man, well, it'll be fun looking for a new car. That would be my response, and most people would be just devastated and thinking about all why it's a waste. I see that as a waste of thinking, a waste of time and energy that could be put into better things. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know, but it's just something I've been thinking about. You have any thoughts on that one?
I do. So as humans, right, we gotta remember, we're domesticated, right? We are domesticated. So at one point we were not. So as humans, it's ingrained in our DNA to be on the lookout for danger. That's why a lot of people kind of stay on defense, but people forget that every one of us has the fight or flight response in us. Society conditions us for flight. That's why a lot of people will stay in a job for 30 years that they hate, because like that's been normalized. Like they don't think that I can do this thing. And going back to me, when I started this podcast, I was like, who's going to listen to me? Like, there's celebrities out there, there's former news anchors, there's professional athletes. It's like, I'm Rob Foster from Charlestown, Rhode Island. You know what I mean? It's like, who wants to listen to me? And I went into just one Facebook group, and this group, the admin was like, you guys can advertise your links today. So I advertised my link, and I got like 60 bookings. I was like, whoa. And then, like I said to you earlier, I had to add 2 days, and those days are already booking into May. And I just started that earlier this week. It's unreal. I got people emailing me. I'm getting texts, right? I was like, people are finding this show. Like a reporter emailed me last week, and I just had 2 articles written, and I'm not sharing that to flex. Just going back to what we said earlier about just getting started. When you get started, you'll be surprised the doors and opportunities that are going to open.
Absolutely. I can't say that enough. And it's okay to fail. I think that we've begun to condition ourselves in a way, and that's why most people don't get started. They're afraid to fail. I wear my failures like a badge of honor, and I don't think anyone's failed worse or harder than I have in my entire group of friends or family. And I'm okay with that. There are some of them that like to make fun of the fact, or did at one time, when I was down and out. Look at what happened to Moss. But at the end of the day, I get the last laugh because I was able to stand up and become the best version of myself by reworking and rethinking those things. And I think if everyone would just take a step back and realize that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And I know that's cliche and we say that too often, but it actually is true. There's a reason that it's cliche, and it's a reason that you've heard it so often, but you have to take it to heart and you have to want it. You have to want it in your bones. I mean, it's got to be like in your bones. You got to feel it, and then you'll get it. It'll just happen.
So the most remarkable thing to me that you shared was that when you were homeless, you took control. Right. So even in that moment, you were still you. Because in that moment, just think about it, right? In those moments, people lose themselves, right? So, but even you were going through, the only thing worse than that is being in jail, right? Pretty much the worst thing to being homeless is being in prison. So you were at that level of a low, but you still use your skills to organize everyone else and make sure everybody had what they needed. So you guys could all survive that ordeal. I think that is absolutely fascinating.
I had never thought of it that way. You're the first person who's actually framed it that way. And that is pretty wild. I really was. I was just me, except without the tools that I normally had. So I made do with what I had and made it work. Wow, that's really wild. Thanks for that. That really
my pleasure.
Yeah, it really makes my time on the street seem like it was. It definitely had meaning, but it shows me that I never lost myself. Thank you.
So I wrote this book. It's very interactive, but it actually helps people take the messes that they went through and find the golden nuggets in it. So like, as I listen to people, it's like, I really dissect everything that comes out of your mouth. And that's why I take notes and I piece things together. And that's why I like doing this in real time. Like, even with the bios, I might take a passing glance at the bio just in case obviously I'm a talker. So, but like, if the conversation happens to go stale, I'll have something to fall back on. But that I think in the 373 episodes, I think I only had to drag 2 people through the actual conversation. A lot of one-word answers. So I'm like, do you care to expand on that? Right. So anyways, it's like, no matter what people go through, I always tell people that golden nuggets are left behind. Like, I don't know if my sister is still here. It's like, we watched our father die. Like, we had to end care for him. Like, we watched him die. And people could say, well, what good can come of that? I said, because you're stuck on what we saw. I was like, the story didn't begin until we left that hospital room. That's where the story begins. Like, how did that moment not break us? right? How were we able to move on? What was the next 24 hours like? What was that first Thanksgiving? Because he died on November 18th. Oh God, he died 6 years ago today. 6 years ago today.
Wow.
But like, we set the table for him at Thanksgiving, and it's like there was just so much that he left behind. Like you mentioned, childhood trauma. There were some things that he did, but it's like there was so much more good that he did, so much more good, and you just get to a different place of gratitude in those moments. So to witness something like that and not have it be painful, because it just makes you reflect on the 45 years that I had with him. Obviously my sister's older than me, so she had him for longer, but people get stuck on the what. So like people hear your story of being homeless, and like they're just stuck on you being homeless, and I'm like, he was homeless and he ran shit. like that's amazing. Oh guys, see, my sister has many people stay in a moment of loss or negativity because not everyone can laugh right away. That is true, but it's a grieving feeling. Oh, the bad feelings spill over from other things, and not everyone can reel it in. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Because someone like me, I can move past things pretty quickly, but that's just me. Yeah. I know other people, it could take months, it could take years, but the end result is still the same. They have to make a decision that this is not going to hurt me anymore.
Yeah, and it has to be an active decision that you're going to make that change. You're going to process it that way, and that is the hardest thing for a lot of people to do. Look, it's easy to wallow and suffer and woe is me. That's easy. That's easy. What we do, this is hard, but I tell you what, so much more rewarding. You feel so much better about yourself when you have a goal, when you have a vision of what your life is going to be like, and you just walk towards it. It can be as slow as you want. And the other thing is just remember that the people around you naturally want to keep you back. It's just a natural thing. It's and true. They want to do it because they're selfish. We're all selfish. And so they want to keep you with them. And as you begin to succeed, they will want to pull you back. That's why oftentimes the people around you will say the most hurtful things when you start to gain traction and it looks like things are going to start working. Don't take it to heart. Focus on the work, focus on the progress you've made, and keep telling yourself that I want this. It's possible, because I've seen so many people give up on things. And I'm not talking about sobriety. I'm just talking about giving up on their dreams. In my lifetime, I've watched so many people do it. Just give up because one person, parent, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife said, this just isn't going to work out for you. And they're like, yeah, probably not. Just because they had one bad day, and that's it. Yeah. And the dream's gone. I was like, was it ever a dream to begin with if you can give up so easy? But then now that I coach sobriety, I begin to realize that this is because they didn't have that inner grit and strength and resilience that is really necessary to continue when somebody knocks them a little bit. And that's something that you really have to, I try to teach everyone, is just stay the course, focus on what you're trying to accomplish, and keep doing it no matter what anyone says, because you're doing it for you. And if you do it for you, you'll get there. And if you do it for somebody else, you'll never accomplish it, because then you'll be doing what they want you to do, as opposed to everybody has a version of you. Sorry, the little digression here, but everybody has a version or a vision of what you should be like for them. And I think that's the best way to sum it up. So I have a vision of what you should be like, and the best version of you serves me. And that's just because we're naturally selfish. Just if you view everybody that way, then, tint the lens a little bit when people tell you things, and realize that, if they're saying bad things, maybe they recognize I'm starting to do good things.
See, and this goes back to authenticity, right? Authenticity is everything. And I'm going to illustrate with a quick story what you just shared. So maybe 6 weeks ago or so, I was on a panel. I was the panel for the global speakers talk. And I had the pre-call with the host, and she says, I expect you are your own hero. Set your table first. Absolutely. Yeah, she said, I expect you to show up in professional attire. Right? I said, okay. I said, whose profession are we using? Right? I said, because in my profession, I can wear a tank top. I said, so whose profession are we using? And she ended up, she's like, I've never been asked that before. I was like, yeah. I said, so this panel is about authenticity. I manage a gym. Right? I manage a gym. This is what I do. This is what I wear. This is my uniform. And so she's like, okay, you can come in like that. But again, going back to the self-advocacy, right? It's like, so I would never set foot in here with a shirt and tie on.
Right.
Right. Right. I would never do that. So why am
Who
I
would take you
up?
seriously? Who would take you seriously if you did?
Exactly. They'd walk in the door and be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's so true. All right, I'm gonna throw it to you for some final words. Let people know where they can find you. If you have anything going on, services, specials, whatever you got.
Absolutely. Well, so again, Massimo Rigotti, Sober Method. You can find me on all the socials at Sober Method is my handle on every one of them. Got a thriving community over at Reddit, Sober Method, and you can find me at sobermethod.com. I've got a third book coming out here in the early 26 on device addiction, which will be super exciting. And if you're looking to make a New Year's resolution and improve your life, get over to sobermethod.com, check out coaching, book a one-on-one call with me, and let's see what we can do for you to set your path right for the next year.
Love it. Awesome. Massimo. God, we can keep going forever with this topic.
We could go long form, I think.
Definitely good. But so thank you for taking the time, sharing your stories. I tell every guest this, but I think I only did like 2 this year so far. But I do panels. I'm going to pull up an example where I bring back, I usually invite 6 guests, and then sometimes all 6 come, sometimes like this one, there was just 4. But we pick one topic, and then we round table that one topic. And
cool.
And I do that because there's no one way to do everything, So like you could just say vacation. Someone's going to think beach. Someone's going to think skiing. Someone's going to think being on a boat. Someone's going to think mountains, right? Someone's going to think skiing, right? So all from one word, you can get 7 different perspectives. And these panels sometimes lead to collaborations. Like people have gone on to write books together. People have started shows together. I've collaborated with a couple of them. It led to me getting a docuseries filmed on me for free, because I funneled this guy so many referrals, and he's like, if you can get to DC, I'll do your docuseries for nothing. I was like, really? Because those things cost thousands. Oh, yeah. I was like, really? So out of all the referrals, he must have made some good sales to give me that. So
that's great.
So if you're interested in staying in touch, then when those opportunities come up, I'll reach out and I'll definitely get you on. I think you'd be a great fit for one of those panels.
I'd love it. I really would. Those type of things are really fun for me.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you again. And I think I moved off of the outro. I did. There we go. Cue the outro. Take care, everyone.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.